One of my dreams was developing a new knife steel ever since S30V came out in the early mid 2000s. When I got my job at US Steel, I had learned a lot of the tools of steel development, like how to use software for modeling microstructures. And I was heat treating a bunch of steel for knife steel nerds and for knife engineering, looking at the heat treating patterns, like the hotter you go, the higher the hardness goes. And these different steels, they have these different trends for how much harder they get. So I'm plotting out all these things. I'm testing corrosion resistance for different steels and then correlating that with their microstructures and their compositions. I've got all of these simple models on how you predict steel behavior. I'm punching things into my different models, trying to see if I can improve on the prior existing steels. So popular ones from Niagara were S30B, S35V, and S90B. And so I'm playing around with different models. And at first I'm like, man, these steels are very well optimized. I can make it a little more wear resistant or a little tougher, but I'm not seeing anything that really changes the game. We talked earlier about my interest in past developments. And one major development that Crucible had done is that they took previous stainless steels that mostly had 17 to 20% chromium. And those were also their original powder metallurgy stainless steels, like S60B, had the same chromium content. And they had good performance. They developed S90B and S30B, and they reduced the chromium to 14%. And they found that that improved the properties. The corrosion resistance was the same, but other properties were better. And I can't explain that in a quick and simple way. So they reduced it from 17 to 14, the properties were better. And all of the steels that came out after that, they utilized that minor development, minor to the average person, but to the metallurgist, this made a significant difference. So I was looking at this and playing with my models, and I'm like, why can't we go lower than 14? We had this historical trend, 17 down to 14. I'm just going to extend that down to 11 because 11 is all that we need. I played around more with the models and I'm like, wow, we can make a steel that will be just as corrosion resistant, but it will also have better properties than the prior steels in other ways. It'll have higher toughness for a given level of wear resistance. We can make something that's as good as the non-stainless steels in a stainless. It's the same microstructure as a non-stainless because we're not forming those extra chromium carbides that we didn't want. So I use all my models, simple ones, software ones, blah, blah, blah. I come up with the composition. I go to Crucible, I go to Niagara, and I say, hey, I don't work for you, but I have a composition, and I think it's going to be a big leap forward in knife steel. I remember Crucible was not that excited. They're like, how is this going to work? Like, you don't work for us. You don't understand the intricacies of what we're doing. They're asking me some of these questions, trying to trip me up, and I successfully pass the interview. Niagara was even more on board than Crucible. They didn't need as much convincing. They're like, yeah, let's try it. Like what's the issue? Let's do a heat of it and we'll see what happens. So we do a heat of it. I am really struggling to sleep and I'm getting emails at 1 a.m. We're making it and like, oh, it's solidifying in the tundish. Like, what are we supposed to, like, I think we need to go higher on carbon. And I'm like, oh no, you can add like another 0.05 and see what happens. Then they're emailing me back like, okay, it leveled out. Everything's okay. They atomize it. They send it to Niagara. They roll it out. They send it to me. I test it. I'm running through my tests and it does exactly what I predicted it to do. I've never done a steel development at US Steel that was so successful on the first try. So I look like a genius because the steel, it does everything I said it was going to do and better. The corrosion resistance ended up way better than I predicted it to be because this change in microstructure to eliminate the chromium carbides had a huge effect on the corrosion resistance that I didn't expect. MagnaCut looks amazing. And then we did, some marketing. We showed all the properties. We showed the data sheet. I published an article saying it comes out next week and you can call Niagara to order some. And Niagara gets more calls in a day than they've ever gotten. They tell me like, Larrin, we're never doing this again. We're only selling the steel through distributors because we got way too many phone calls on this release of MagnaCut. It blew up way bigger than any of their prior new releases. There are minor hiccups. This knife company has this little issue. We have to work out this little issue. But overall, it's been a huge success. And it's being used in tons of knives.